Hi, this is Vicki. I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Crafting for Fun. Today I'm going to show you how I made this cute little retro-inspired apron card. This card fits in a standard A2 size envelope and doesn't require any additional postage because it is less than 1/4 inch thick, even when you include a gift card. This particular card opens up and has a pocket in the front where I can tuck in a gift card. I have made this to be a thank you card for like a hostess when I've visited her home and had dinner there, but you could easily adapt this card to be used as a kitchen shower invitation for a bride-to-be, or you could use it as an invitation for inviting guests to dinner, or for having a cookout, or for just lots and lots of other things. So it's very easily adapted. And if you decide not to put in this pocket, you just need to use a narrower strip of paper for the trim, and we'll talk more about that when we get to that point in the tutorial. So let me show you which supplies you'll need in order to make this card. To make this card, you will need a piece of cardstock for your card base. This piece measures 8 1/2 inches wide by 5 1/4, and it has been scored and folded in half to make a standard A2 size card. You will need a piece of coordinating cardstock that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is 6 inches wide by 2 1/4 inches long, and this is going to be used for your trim. So you'll want to use a color that coordinates well with your base cardstock. Then I have additional scraps of cardstock here in black, pink, and white, and these are just little tiny 2 1/2 by maybe 2 inch scraps, just very small scraps, and then some ribbon. And this is about 14 inches of 3/8 inch wide satin ribbon that matches my trim color. That's really all of the supplies you'll need, other than you will also need a border punch. I'm going to be using the Martha Stewart, I believe this one is called Awning, and I'm also going to use my Stampin' Up! Scallop border punch, but you truly only need one border punch in order to make this. And then if you choose to add a flower for embellishment, I'm going to be using a little flower that looks like this. I also used an additional punch to create this flower. I just added a little bling to the center. So if you want to make your own flower for embellishment, you'll need a small flower punch. So let me get started and show you how I made this. I'm going to move everything aside except my base card. What you're going to want to do is fold your base card in half, and then you'll want to place your folded edge at the top and have your open edge at the bottom. Let me grab my paper trimmer. You're going to place your cardstock on your paper trimmer, and what you're going to want to do with your folded edge at the top and your open edge at the bottom is place your open edge on the fold line, and then tilt your cardstock so that the top corner along your folded edge is at the 1 1/4 inch line. Let me move that into view. So your top edge is at 1 1/4, that's the folded edge, and your open edge is on the cut line, and you're going to want to make a cut and get rid of this piece. Then you're going to want to flip your cardstock over, and again with your folded edge at the top and your open edge at the bottom, put your open edge on the cut line and your folded edge at 1 1/4, and go ahead and make your cut. And now you can get rid of your paper cutter. Now the next step is going to be to add the border detail along the bottom. For this I'm going to use my border punch, and I have found that I can easily punch through 2 layers of cardstock. So I'm going to put my shape on here, and I'm going to make sure that it's centered on my punch, and I'm going to punch through both layers all the way across the bottom. And let me see. Okay. And if you need to do any trimming along the bottom, like I have just a little place there, there. Now what I'm going to do is bring back that long strip of contrasting trim, and I'm also going to scallop it. So again, I'm going to place it roughly center on my punch, and I'm going to go all across the bottom. Now for the next step in this process, I'm actually going to show you how I did this with sticky strip. But when I made my my invitation, or my card, I actually did not use sticky strip. I just used my ATG tape. I'm going to place my contrasting color inside of my card, and I'm going to line up my scallops, and you can decide how much of that you want to actually show. You can do a very wide border, you can do a narrow border. That's entirely personal preference. So I went ahead and put it inside of there and decided I wanted about that much to show, and then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim off the extra. And just make sure you have a good firm hold on your card so it doesn't come out of position. Get rid of those scraps. And I'm going to lay this down and I'm going to open up my card. Now, I'm going to take sticky strip, and I'm actually going to go across the bottom, but I'm going to make sure that that I leave a separation between the very bottom and where my sticky strip goes, because I have to remember that I want my border to show across the bottom. And then I'm going to go up the sides. Now we're not going to go across this top edge because we want to be able to put our gift card in a pocket, and that's what's going to create our pocket. So let me And like I said, for my actual card, I just used sticky strip, but I thought this would be easier for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my pieces here. Now I would not want to take this piece and just flip it over and apply it, because I've already determined my position based on my strip being in this direction, and it's not the same when I turn it over. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn my card over and take my piece. Whoops. And you'll be able to tell whether you're in the correct position when your sides line up, because you've already trimmed it to fit. So there we go. And I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to take my gift card and I'm going to go for a trial run. Now the only gift card I currently have on my desk is a Subway card. This is a shaped card across the top, but the bottom is just the same as a standard gift card, and it does just slide right in there. So I'm going to go ahead and decorate the outside. Oh, and one more thing. You only need one layer of this pink paper because, look, you can see the ruffle on the front and on the back. It's clearly visible from both sides, so no need to cut an extra piece. I'm going to go ahead and apply my ribbon trim, and to do that I'm going to just use my tape gun, and I'm going to go right across the top here, and then I'm going to cut off a piece of that about 5 inches long, and I'm just going to place it right across the top there. And I find it easiest to just pick up my card. I want to make sure I got it on the right side. Yes, I did. This gift card pocket will actually be on the back of your card, and so the trim needs to go on the front of your card, and that's what I was actually looking to see if I'd applied it to the right side. So I'm just trimming off my extra ribbon there. And then to create the bow that I'm going to go on the front, I'm just going to make 2 bunny ears with my ribbon, and I'm going to just cross it over, pull my little loop through, pull my tails to make my bow the exact size that I want, pull it nice and tight, and trim off my ends. Now if you have a different method for tying bows that you find works well for you, by all means use it. Now I find it easiest to attach this bow using a glue dot. So I'm just going to grab a glue dot here, And what I do is I take my little glue dot and I actually roll it up so that it's a long, skinny little glob of glue dots there. Decide which side I like better. I'm going to apply my glue dot and then just put that right over my waistband and press it down. So the only other thing I need to do to complete the look of the front of my card is to add my pocket. Now I'm going to grab that scrap of black cardstock that I had you set aside, and I'm actually going to use a punch. This is the Tag Punch by Stampin' Up, but it is truly unnecessary to have this shape in order to make this card. You can cut this on your own. You just need to cut a little rectangle that is about 1.5 inches wide, actually about 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches square, and then just cut the corners off. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to trim this down by taking about 1/4 of an inch off of the top, and that's going to create my pocket. But I want a little scallop trim on that pocket. Now I could use this same border punch on this piece to create some trim for my pocket, but I think it's a little bit large, and so that's why I've chosen to use a second punch. You can just simply do whatever is to your taste when you're creating this on your own. So I'm going to go ahead, and I've just punched one time, and I'm going to go ahead and trim off the extra because I don't need all that extra, and I have one little piece of trim here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pocket, and along the top edge I'm going to apply some tape, and then I'm going to take my trim piece and I'm just going to apply it so that I have about the same amount of scallops on both sides, and I'm going to trim off the extra. And you'll have a piece that looks like this. Now, I'm going to show you how I do the pocket. A lot of people just take a pocket like this and just glue it down on the apron, and that looks okay, but I like it to look a little more dimensional and realistic. So I'm going to use my bone folder, and I'm going to use a piece of foam. This is a piece of foam tape or a foam dimensional. If you're using the Stampin' Up! Foam dimensionals, I recommend that you stack two because they're not quite as thick as this foam tape that I'm using here. I'm going to take a bone folder, but anything with a straight edge will work. Even an ink pen will work. And just kind of work with your edges there to kind of break down the fibers and to kind of round them over. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to do that on both edges, and I'm going to do it along the bottom. I'm not going to do it along the edge with the scallop trim. So I've kind of softened the edges there. Don't worry about it being exactly perfect yet. I'm going to go ahead and apply this dimensional right in the center of the back, and then I'm actually going to apply tape adhesive along the edge, both the straight edges, and then along the bottom. And I'll show you why here in just a moment. Now I do not want to apply tape along the top where the pink edge is. So I'm going to take my pocket, which has got a lot of adhesive on it. I'm going to go ahead and remove the backing from my dimensional there. And I'm going to decide where I want my pocket to go. And I'm going to press down firmly in the center of my pocket. And then I'm going to go, when I'm sure it's straight the way I want it, it didn't look quite straight to me, there you go, then I'm going to go around the edges and press down where I have that tape adhesive. What that's going to do is it's going to create a pocket that's lifted up a little in the center and along the top edge, and you can see I can actually fit my bone folder down into my pocket, but it's still adhered to my apron all around the edges. It just looks a little more realistic that way. So the only thing that I have left to do here is on the front of my apron, I'm going to take a little glue dot, attach my flower. Maybe I'm going to use a glue dot if I can get it to come off. This glue dot is not cooperating. There we go. And then I'm just going to attach my flower there. Now on the inside, on my other card, the original card, I just had a stamped sentiment that I had punched out and added here, and then I added a little extra flower detail on the on the inside. And here's my original. So if you have any questions about this project, please go ahead and email me at craftingforfun@gmail.com. And if you'd like to see my other projects or other craft ideas, you can check out my blog. It's craftingforfun.blogspot.com. I hope you enjoyed this project. Have a nice day.